Welcome back, guys. So I decided to do a quick bonus video here and just show you a few more examples and talk about psychology yet again. And also, I'm going to show you how to create these arrays in Data Studio and Photoshop. So here is a light set I created for the beautiful stonemason prop. And I used, again, this hybrid of light, right? The spotlight to create the lights, and I had a fake HDR map or a quick, surrounding map to create the additional effects here. So here's the product in the dash store, and as you can see, I'm using a specific sunlight, which is a spotlight, and which I also explain how it works, right? Because it offers so much control, and it's just, in my opinion, the best way to light if you want to have control and also at the same time get beautiful renders. And remember to not oversaturate your renders. Let the subtlety of the light do its work as well. So we just, pick some area that receives the light as the hero, so to speak, right? And then you let the rest of the light do its own job. So it's not your job to illuminate everything. That would just, in most cases, just backfire. All right, for another tutorials of mine, I think this is the Shadow Master. I also used, external lighting to illuminate the interior. And I mean, again, I'm using the light to illuminate certain parts, and I'm letting the overall subtle light or skylight do the rest. And it just fills in the blanks. It lets, these characters be a little bit darker, and still you can use the main light to create some cool shadow effects and all that. So you can really get creative with this. So here's another one. It's a subway station, and I'm using extensive window lighting, also a lot of foggy effects. And I'm letting the light through the windows accent the characters at the same time. So they do two jobs. One is to create some cool light splashes into the environment. They also bounce back at the railing here, and also provide some backlighting on the characters. So it can be kind of useful how you rotate the camera, where you place your characters, and how you turn everything towards the camera so that you can receive maybe some cool backlighting effects on characters and stuff like that. So here is a different angle on that, and it really can create, lots of drama when you play with darkness and brightness and huge contrast. Same here, using spotlight through the windows to create some kind of cool splashes into the room, and then using very soft lighting throughout the rest to engage and create that moody look and feel of the render. And here, the more intense the sunlight is, the less of it you should have in your scene, and the less intense it is, the more of it you can have in your scene. So it's all about contrast and nuances. And here I did a light set for this in-bed prop, and sunlight pretty straightforward, right? Night pretty straightforward. But what I did here let me just show you. Here I have the sunset version. It's that sometimes you don't have to play with direct sunlight. If I know the built-in Iray sun and sky lighting solution, it has even though the sun kind of sets around the horizon and you no longer see it, the sky is still projecting the soft light. Okay, so it's still that it's kind of advanced, so it's not that just it's a blue sky all over. It has that glow still, and you can use that to illuminate things in a more subtle way. So in this case, I just used a very low sun position, and it's just casting this beautiful soft lighting here that just looks natural, right? And at times you don't have to make a perfect angle of the sun. Just let the subtlety, do its work, because the sunlight has in nature has its own rhythm. You cannot, play with that. So it's just captured in this moment. And like I said, experiment with not having a strong sunlight as well. Just play with very soft nuances and see how that works for you. Now, like I said, I'm gonna show you how to create these array effects. I use them extensively because they add a nice mood to your render, a little bit of depth, but also they create an incredible lighting effect. And I just found the fastest way, one of the fastest way to do that is to actually use flat planes inside Dash Studio. So I'm going to show you how that's done. I'm going to fire up Dash Studio. So here I have loaded the stonemason, the Venezia suit scene with my light set added. And it has these two window beams, so to speak, objects. And these are flat objects. As you can see, they contribute to this kind of foggy ray effect. And the way they are created is that you create a new primitive and choose plane, one division. And once this is added, you want to rotate it so that it stands on the floor. And obviously you can scale this, move it and all that. I don't really need to showcase those basic things. It's just about moving it. Let me just move it closer so we can see it. There we go, right? And sometimes when you have these items, it can be difficult to rotate on the y-axis, especially if you have 90 degrees on this one. I recommend you use the rotational tool here, right? Rotate, and then you can just grab this and turn it towards the camera. Well, you can squeeze it depending on the image ratio, right? Size ratio and all that. You can scale it. And the important thing is that you need to change this into an Iris object for two reasons. So like I mentioned earlier, you go to surfaces, select the plane here, and then presets, shaders, Iris, and then click on Uber Base. Once that is done, you go back here to the editor subtab, and in here you want to add an emission. So some kind of emission sometimes may be necessary. You might want to keep base color because then it will receive light, okay? And also glossiness, usually I just take away. And emission can be used for that to self-glow in case there is not enough light to illuminate it on its own, right? So you can just make it self-glow. Just pick a color, white or yellowish or orangish to match your light, and then just increase the luminous value to have it self-glow. Now you also add a cutout opacity map right here. And if you take a look at the images, the window beams and their settings, as you can see, this is old school settings here for 3D light, but still work. And on the opacity cutout, I have this mask created. So this is like a foggy beam created in Photoshop, right? I'm going to show you how to make those in a second. And you just apply it here, and that's the only thing you need to do. No need to add any other textures anywhere else. So this is the 3D light setting, set of settings. And if you change to Uber Base, it's going to be on cutout opacity instead. All right. And emission, like I said, can be used to further enhance these so that they stand out and are more visible or more thick if you want them to be that, right? Bear in mind, this illuminates, okay, this casts lighting, so just so you know that. All right, so now I'm just going to show you how to create those additional effects inside Photoshop. So there's really two parts to creating that. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice, talking too much. And there we go. So basically you can keep the size kind of low. You don't need to exaggerate with size. There is no need in creating these type of effects with a 4K, map. It's just not, they are so soft in their way, so we can easily do 1K or 2K. Now use a black background, pitch black, okay? And then simply draw a very basic ray. It doesn't need to be more advanced than this, okay? Fill that with white and simply put add Gaussian blur to it. That blurs it, and you can have also a little bit sharper edges if you want to. And that's basically it. Now you also can add some additional effects to that. One of them, which is very useful, is a fade off. So use a gradient, black and white color, and just hold down shift and, sorry, no need for shift, and just, you know, make it kind of fade away and use multiply on it. That will make the ray kind of decay into the room, okay? Another very, very useful thing, and I use it all the time, is to add a little bit of fogginess to this effect. And really what you can do is click on the fog layer and create a mask with this icon down here. Click on the mask, and you can now fill that with, for instance, render clouds. That will create a kind of a cloudy pattern, so to speak, and that should really project. Let's see here. I didn't get the desired effect, so let me move that and just place it elsewhere. Yeah, it does a better job on this layer here. And basically, you can move this layer around, okay, and pinpoint exactly where you want that effect to be. And you can scale it, obviously. And that, you know, just adds a more kind of atmospheric effect to that. And besides, you don't need to, you know, like I said, I showed you those planes, right? But you don't need to add those planes in Dash Studio. You can stay inside Photoshop altogether. So let me show you how that works. So in this example, I'm using the kitchen I showed you earlier, and I'm gonna just grab this, okay, once it's completed, and use Control A to select all, Control C to copy, use Command on the Mac, click here, use Control V to paste. Now the beautiful thing about this is you can either create these as I did standalone, or you can just paint directly on the image so that it fits your particular scene, right? In this case, I need to scale this. I'm using Control minus and plus to zoom in and out. And basically I just want to scale this. You can also shift the opacity a little bit so you see what's going on. Then you can also rotate it. Alright. And just move it slightly here into place. Now, another very important thing is that you may want to, you know, remove the foggy effect where it would naturally be obstructed. Okay, so the way to do that is to create a mask on top of that, then paint away the things that obstruct it, just roughly here, real quick. All right, and paint that with black, obviously. And once this is completed, what you also can do is disable it and blur it, obviously. You can just blur it maybe so it blends like that, okay? Now we can just go full force, and usually want to use screen blending mode. That adds a beautiful kind of foggy effect. And you can also, if you have the main layer selected, change its color. In this case, I want it to be a little bit more orangish in color to match that of the set. And so I'm going to lower the blue to half and lower the green to half of that. Now it's more like a orangish tinted beam, and you can obviously adjust just how intense you want that to be. And the best thing is you don't want these effects to be visible like a huge thing. You want them to be subtle, so they're barely noticeable. That's when they pass as real. All right. And basically, guys, that's pretty much it. I just want to throw in this extra video, show some additional things, effects, and some thoughts, so that you have everything you need to create some cool effects on your own. So guys, that's it. Thanks so much for watching. See you soon again.